place that I ever loved is the place I left behind.
I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV Velocities in Music. Today we're going to review an album from a band called the Deep Dark Woods, and the album title is called The Place I Left Behind. That's kind of an austere sort of band and album title
it very much fits the it's like a Robert Frost poem.
It is, and these guys are technically I would classify this music as like alternative country.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely more country than folk.
Yeah.
A lot of, acoustic guitars and fiddles and banjo at times, but then it actually kind of, they add in these guitars and keyboards and other elements.
Not acoustic,
right.
Like kind of subtle, soft electric guitars, and then the kind of classic like Hammond organ sound that you get inside some kind of churchy blues.
What I like about it is that it also combines and references other styles like Southern rock and other stuff, and that gives it some energy that I think blends well with the whole alt country style, which I think that this band's sound is their greatest asset.
Oh yeah, you take any one of these tracks and that sound they nail perfectly. The instrumentals are very tactful. They're very well executed and tight. Good use of dynamics. They know when to put some intensity to it, and they know how to hold back without losing tempo, without losing that general feeling, and I really like that about it. The vocalist nails it. I mean, I can't say enough good things about the sound in any one spot.
Yeah, and the male vocalist uses he has a lower voice too, which helps. It kind of gives a warmth to the tracks that is I think needed in a band when a band's title is the Deep Dark Woods. To have kind of that warm low end sound to the vocals.
Yeah,
nice.
the attitude in the vocalist actually reminds me a lot of Matt from The National. While this isn't quite the same style at all, the role he plays is very much like that. So I think that made me like this album a little more too.
Yep, and to me, one thing that I noticed is these songs, they really they're catchy. You get them, and as Tom mentioned, you take any one of these songs and listen to it, and you're gonna probably go, if you're into this style, you're probably going to like these tracks. But when the album context, this is a little bit longer of an album. There's 13 tracks here, and a lot of these tracks occupy the same. They're structured similarly, and they're really kind of in similar keys, if not the same key. They use similar chord progressions on every album. I found that in the songwriting, this band actually uses very similar tricks, song over song, and I know that that's pretty standard with country rock and kind of a almost bluesy, bluegrass kind of style to do that and be a very structured format. However, you gotta break free of that in an album listen. You have to find ways to transcend doing the same things on every track if you want your album to be interesting. Personally, I felt like, Tom, that this got a little bit too long. And
there's some longer tracks on here too. I mean, 13 track album, if they're all 3 or 4 minutes is long enough.
Right.
But then when you throw in some 6 and 7 minute ones, it gets a little heady.
And while there are some, more mellow acoustic folk ballads in here, and even waltzes at times that I really felt kind of separated this song. There's way too many of those little bit longer, more aggressive songs that were in that structure that I was talking about. I feel like they could have dropped a few of those, and it would have made the album seem more cohesive. Just a better blend of tracks, and not just a whole bunch of things just mixed together, and more of a compilation feel. I feel like that's one of the main criticisms I have of this that's really holding this album back from being something that I would say is a very strong album, just because the band's sound is so good. What were your takes on it?
Well, basically all the problems with this album to me come from the album as a whole, the kind of macro aspect of it, because I think if you take any single song on here, I think it's well done.
Right.
I think they execute, like we said over and over again, the sound very well. I think the songwriting is good. But just when you put it all together, it's one of those that by track 8 or so, I'm just kind of done with. They just don't do enough to pull me in after that.
I feel like there's a big sag in the middle of this album, and that's never a good sign. Usually that means that the artist could have done well to drop a track or two. That's just the way it goes. So I feel like that's the main thing holding this back. And if you're looking for, just kind of an interesting, alternative country play, this would be a good one to go check out.
Yeah, check it out if you like that style for sure.
And I don't know how popular these guys are, so I'm interested to see what you all think of this. I'm sitting right now at a 67.
I'm gonna go 66.
Yeah, that's the where this album's at. This has some really inherently good qualities, but the albumization and the structure of you know, the fact that they could have dropped tracks is just holding this back from being in that upper 70s category, I think. So let us know what you guys thought at www.velocitiesinmusic.com or youtube.com/velocitiesinmusic. Also follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and that's about it for this one. That was The Deep Dark Woods, The Place I Left Behind. I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, moving music critique forward.